Hello everyone, this is Rotondo Sitabule, the author of Mathematical Problem-Solving Techniques. This video serves to demonstrate how to access the sample of the study guide. So once you have access to the link, which I'll also attach on the comments section of this video, you can simply click on it and then it'll take you to a page where you can download it. It's a website called Docdroid, which serves to share documents to the public space. So you could either have access to the link or perhaps a QR code, which you can simply scan, and then it will take you to the page. Alternatively, if you are having trouble with accessing the sample using those two methods, you can simply contact me on the WhatsApp number, which will be shown later in this video, as I provide the overview of the content in the sample. So I'll just paste the link as I've already copied it so that I can demonstrate how you can download this particular uh, sample of the book. So once you click on the link, it will take you to Docdroid, as I mentioned earlier. That this is a website that is used to share documents to the public space. So what you'll see on the top right is download. If you follow my cursor, you can see download here. And then on the left side of download, you see share. But if you perhaps you're using your phone to access this page, you might not see the word download. You might only see the icon, which is this particular icon, the download icon. And then also the same with share. You might only see the share icon without the word share. But if you are interested in downloading it, you just simply click on the link, which then, if you're using a computer, it would prompt you to then save. Then you save it, uh, and then once you download this successfully on your mobile device or your computer, whatever device you're using to uh, download it, you will then have access to it. So from here, once you've downloaded, you can then go through the content. One of the pages that we included in this sample is the contents. So in the contents, it shows you the contents that are included in this particular sample, which includes important information, which you need to go through before anything. It is quite important, as stated, that it's important information. And then following that, there's the introduction. This is also important that you go through it because it provides the framework and structure of how problems are tackled in the study guide. So it is important for you to get an idea of how get understand that framework before you then go onto the chapters for you to learn how these the concepts and how the problems have been tackled. So following that, it's the chapter 2, which is sequences and series. And then after that, it's the full study guide, table of contents, which I believe it's important for you to have because it'll give you an idea of what contents are covered in the full study guide and whether you would be interested in purchasing the full study guide or not. So firstly, the important information, which I emphasize that you go through. So one of the key things that you need to know is that the first batch of study guides that were printed had some errors that were identified. So these copies were not for sale. They were given out for free with an erratum which addresses those errors. So now there's a new version that has been uh, developed, and so it's the revised version. So all the errors that were identified have been corrected, and that's the new version is the one that would be for sale. You can simply distinguish the new version from the old one as the in a because the new version has a revised edition indicated in the cover. So that's how you can distinguish it from the old version. And the old version is not for sale, as I mentioned. It's the new version that is for sale. So another thing is that another key thing maybe the contact details. So you can see the handle for X, which is formerly known as Twitter. It's at MPST underscore study guide. Then there's also the WhatsApp number which you can contact me on. As I mentioned earlier, if you're having any trouble with accessing the sample using the link or the QR code, you can just contact me on this number, and then I'll send you the PDF document directly to you, the PDF document of this sample, so that you can then have a look at it. And alternatively, you could also use this email that is provided here, which is shown here. Then following important information is the introduction. As I mentioned earlier, that it includes the framework of how I tackle problems in the chapters that follow later on in the book. So it's important for you to look at it and get understand what the structure, how the structure and framework of how I tackle problems in the chapters that follow. So once you get the idea, you can then go to the next section, which is then chapter 2, which is sequences and series. So you may wonder what chapter 1 is. Chapter 1 is the number system and algebra. So I believe it's important for that to be included. It's actually not part of the matric syllabus, but it's algebra is also is examined in one of the first questions of paper 1. So it's although it's one you have to know that it's a concept. Algebra is a concept that has already been covered in the earlier grades. But I in case maybe you're still not comfortable, like you're not confident enough in your knowledge on algebra, I've provided chapter 1 so that you can then go through it. And I believe that you need to have some form of you being comfortable with the concepts before you can be able to solve problems for the other chapters, because I believe that it is quite an important concept. Since, for instance, if you think of sequences and series, when you let me rather say number patterns, because perhaps you might have not been exposed to series, because that's the series is introduced in metric. So if you're dealing with number patterns, let's say you're working in with a quadratic sequence, and you are meant to find the position of a particular term that is provided together with a general formula. In that case, you need to solve for n like you would solve for x in a quadratic equation in algebra. So you can see that the concepts of algebra are important, and lay a foundation of how you would solve some of the problems, or in fact most of the problems that you encounter in the other chapters. Like if you even think of trigonometry, for instance, when you're solving identities, at times you might need to factorize, at times you might need to simplify. In some trigonometric problems, you might have to rationalize the denominator for you to be able to change the expression into one that you'd that into an expression that you intend to change it to. All those techniques are covered in the algebra section. I mean, the chapter 1. But if you feel that you're confident in that chapter, there's no need for you to go through that chapter. You can just skip that chapter, because it's an optional chapter. It depends on whether you're comfortable with your knowledge on algebra or not. So yeah. And then following that chapter on the full study guide is chapter 2, which is sequences and series. One thing you may have noted in the contents of this sample is that only the sequences and series chapter is the one that is provided in the sample. Like I didn't do like snippets of different chapters. I opted to rather include the entire chapter, or one specific chapter, which is sequences and series. The reason I did that is because chapter 2 is an important, I want to say, one of the first chapters that you go through, rather. So, um, um, since it's one of the first chapters, it means you'll be able to get an idea of what the what the study guide has to offer, because you'll be able to go through this chapter from the study guide while also going through the chapter at school. So it will give you this sample will give you an idea of whether the study guide is worth purchasing or not. Because another thing I did is the fact that I've structured all the other chapters in a similar way. So in a way, once you have an idea of what the when you've gone through this chapter, you'll have an idea of what the other chapters have. You'd have an expectation, and it'll give you an idea of whether it's worth buying or not. You see, so you'll be able to go through the concepts of sequences and series in the first term, and use this sample, which is free for you to access. And then once you've done that, you'll then have an idea of whether you'd like to purchase the book or not. And then once you've gone through the chapter itself, you can then go through the last part section of the book, and that's the full study guide, right? The full study guide table of contents. So of course, once you've gone through the chapter, if you are interested, another thing you might want to know is whether what concepts are covered in the full study guide. So the full study guide table of contents is provided so that you can then have an idea of what is covered in the full study guide, and then it will give you an idea of whether you're interested in purchasing it or not, because you'd then have an idea of what is covered from the full study guide. So if you have any questions or queries, you can simply contact me on that number that I showed earlier, the WhatsApp number. And if you need any clarification questions that have not been clarified by this sample, I'm happy to answer you. And then also, if you are interested in buying it, then you can contact me again using that number that I showed earlier, or perhaps using the email address that I showed you, or the Twitter handle, I mean X, the X handle that I showed earlier. So that is it for this video, and thank you for your time.